right, today we're going to do a punch through image effect. In this Photoshop tutorial, we'll learn how to create a popular punch through image effect, often seen in sports and movie advertising um, campaigns. It's going to look like a person is or object has punched through a hole in the page or the paper or whatever. There's a few steps involved in the tutorial, but as usually they are all pretty simple as we make through it. We'll come over some interesting techniques like converting layer styles to actual layers so we can apply filters to them, um, moving drop shadows around just by dragging them, and using layer groups to move multiple layers at once. I'll be using Photoshop 2020. Okay. Um, Most of the drawing is going to be done from scratch, but I have attached a image of a glove. Okay. So we'll need to download that at one point. Um, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new document. So we're going to go to create new. Um, and this one, we're going to make it 1000 pixels. Make sure you switch it to pixels. We're going to make it 1000 by 800 is a portrait, and the resolution I'm going to make it 72 pixels per inch. Um, but as a horizontal, uh, excuse me, a landscape. Okay, then we're going to hit go ahead and hit the create button, and we have our image right there. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. New layer can be done right here on the bottom of the layers panel, right next to the folder. Create a new layer, and we have that there. Okay. Um, you'll see the blank layer named layer one appears above the background layer right at the top there. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the polygonal lasso tool from the tools panel. It's hiding behind the standard lasso tool, so click on the lasso tool and hold your mouse button down for a second or two. So remember how we do the doing the polygonal lasso. So we're going to go right here. Mine was already um, selected. Uh, with that, we're going to draw a polygonal shape. We're going to use the polygonal lasso tool to draw a polygonal shaped selection in the center of the document, which will become the hole that's being punched through the image. Simply click at the points where you want the corners of the shape to appear, and Photoshop will automatically connect them to create the sides of the shape as you go. There's no need to drag the tool inside the document. You actually won't have to drag it. Just click at the corner point, release your mouse button, and click another corner point. Okay, so what we're going to do is on that layer one, we're going to create that polygonal shape. It'll kind of be random like this. And you want to reconnect it. And there you can see that selection is created. Okay. Next, we're going to fill that section with black. We're going to go to Edit, Fill. We're going to drag down on the contents. Okay. And we're going to select black. Okay. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to deselect it. Okay. So Control D or Command D. Okay. To deselect it. So there you'll see we have our hole. That is the dark hole where the glove comes through, and we're above that background blank layer. So we have the hole on that layer one and then the background layer. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is create another new layer. So we want to do it below this layer one. So we're going to click right here and create another new layer. Okay. Normally, Photoshop adds new layers directly above the layer that's currently selected in the layers panel. But by holding down the Control Command key while clicking the new layer icon, we told Photoshop to add the new layer below it instead. Okay. So from there, we're going to, while we're selected on here, we're going to create the tears. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the lasso tool. Lasso tool is probably hiding right there behind the polygonal. We're going to select our lasso tool, and on this layer here, the layer two that's below that, the whole layer and above the background layer, we're going to use the lasso tool to draw the shape of the first piece of torn paper. Since the black polygonal shape will become the hole that's being punched through the image of each of its sides will need its own separate torn paper piece. But we'll just draw one for now. It doesn't matter which side you start with, but make sure the shape you draw covers the entire length of the side from corner to corner. Okay, so you want to join these corners here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some tears. Okay, so we're going to go like this, make it look like torn paper. You don't have to go crazy. And then, oop, okay, my pixels are selected. I'll try that again. I'm so sorry. Sometimes we're going to, okay, hold on a second. We're going to draw these from corner to corner. Make sure that you drag your finger while holding clicks down. And we're going to reconnect with that lasso tool right there. So this is what the first one, first torn paper shape will look like. Notice that I've extended the selection into the black area, filled area, which made the shape easier to draw. That's only okay because the only part of the selection that extends outside the black filled shape can be visible later. So only the top will be visible after. With the first shape down, hold down your shift key and draw the second shape. Holding the shift key down adds this new selection to the previous one. Again, it's okay to extend the selection to the black filled area. Just make sure the width of the extended shape goes from corner to corner. Okay. Make sure to continue holding down shift and we'll do all of the paper around the edge. Each new selection will be added to the previous one. Okay. And finally, the last one. And you don't have to have as many, but remember, it's just as many of the angles that you have. Okay. All right. So that's what it should look like. What we're going to do next is go up to the edit menu at the top and once again choose the fill. So we're going to go up to edit, fill. Okay. From there, we're going to select a color and we're going to change the RGB on that color. So we're going to go up to color on the color picker. Okay, we're going to hit color and we're going to go to the RGB and we're going to change them each to 230. 230 right here. So we're going to go here, double click, 230, double click, highlights it, 230, and double click, 230. And we're going to hit OK and OK. And you'll see that I have filled it with that particular gray. Okay. Um, Click OK once you're done to close out the color picker. Then click OK to close out the fill dialog box. Photoshop fills the torn paper selection with gray. Okay. Then you're going to deselect it by hitting Control or Command D. Okay. Um, Notice that since the black filled shape in the center is on a layer above the torn paper pieces, only the parts of them that extend outside the black filled shape are visible. So you'll see the selection disappeared because the torn paper is above it. So you see if you hide it like this, you can see what I'm saying there. Okay. So now let's begin adding some depth to our effect. Okay. Click on layer one in the layers panel to make it the active layer. So I'm going to click on that layer one. Okay. Add an outer glow layer style. Okay, so we're going to go to the layer style on the bottom. We're going to add an outer glow. We'll get our effects right here. Okay, effects panel. Okay. This opens the Photoshop layer styles dialog box set to the outer glow options in the middle column. The only problem is we don't actually need an outer glow. We need an outer shadow. Luckily, we can easily change the glow effect to a shadow effect by simply changing a couple of options. First, change the blend mode from screen to multiply. So we got the outer glow, we're going to hit multiply. That's the blending mode. Okay. Then click on the color swatch just below the word noise. So we're just below the word noise right here. We're going to click on that color swatch. Okay. We're going to change, and we're going to choose black. So we're going to click solid black. We're going to hit OK. All right. Once we've done that, with the glow now changed to a shadow, hold on, we're going to outer glow, black, click OK, and you see that shadow on the edge there. Okay. With the glow now changed to a shadow, keep an eye on the effect in the document window as you drag the size slider towards the right, which will increase the size of the shadow, in case you didn't guess that already. The value you end up with choosing will depend on the size of the document you're working with. For me, it's set to my size around 70 pixels. Finally, if you find the shadow is too dark, lower the opacity. Okay. So we're going to change that to 65. Let's go ahead at 65. We're at 72. It should be good. And right about there to 65. All right, perfect. Okay. The noise should be at 0, right? And then the spread should be at 0 and the size should be at 70. So we're gonna move this to 70. Here we go. We got a nice, got some cool value already. It's starting to look like it is curved down into the to that dark hole. Okay. Click OK when you're done to close out the layer style dialog box. The shadow should now look something like what we have on the screen, giving the torn paper slices look like a more 3D look. So I'm going to hit OK. And then we have that 3D look already, right? Next, we're going to create a layer from the layer style. So we're going to take that layer style, we're going to create its own layer. Okay. One slight problem with the shadow we've applied is that there is appearing not only to on the torn paper pieces, but also on the white background behind them. Okay. We need the shadow to appear only on the paper pieces themselves. To fix the problem, we must first need to convert the layer style into an actual separate layer. This may sound like something complicated, but it's very easy. Simply right click on the layers effect symbol on the far right layer in the one layers panel. So where it says FX here, we're going to right click. Okay. And we're going to create layer. Where does it go? Where did it go? Create layer right here. What that did was took the shadow and it created its own independent layer. Okay. Photoshop converts the layer style into a normal layer named layer one's outer glow. And you can see that there right below layer one and places it directly below layer one. This means we can now work with the same way we did with any other normal layer. Okay. The next thing we need to do is tell Photoshop that we want the outer glow layer to affect only the layer directly below it. We can do this by using a clipping mask. Okay. So we're going to use that clipping mask and we're going to apply it to below. So we're going to right click, create clipping mask. And now you can see that is only below onto that fold there. Okay. So you can see with the clipping mask that now that shadow is only on the torn pages. Okay. All right. Now we're going to click on layer 2 in the layers panel to make it the active layer. So we're going to click on layer 2 right here. Okay. Once we've clicked on layer 2, click again on the layer styles icon at the bottom of the layers panel, and this time choose drop shadow. So we're going to click on that, the layer style, and we're going to choose drop shadow. Okay. We want to make sure that that contour is in the first selected contour here. Okay. Want to make sure that the blending mode is on multiply. The color is black. Okay. We're going to check the opacity is going to be at 75 degrees, 75%. Okay. The distance is at 35. The size is at 20. And the angle is at 120. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And now you can see that shadow that's coming down from that paper there. Okay. Once you're done, close out the layer style dialog box. The shadow behind the torn paper looks a bit too extreme at the moment, but we'll be fixing that. Just as we did with the outer glow on the layer style, let's convert the drop shadow into a normal layer. We're going to right click on Window or Control click on Mac on the Layers Effects panel, like so. We're going to right click and we're going to hit Create Layer. And there you can see we've created its own independent layer. Okay. The drop shadow now appears as its own layer, layer 2's drop shadow. Okay. Okay, now we're going to select that drop shadow layer. Okay, so click on the drop shadow layer to make it the active layer. At the moment, we're going to run a filter on the drop shadow to make it look more realistic. But let's make sure that the filter center is on the top shadow itself, not the entire dimensions of the document, by first drawing a selection. So we're going to create a selection around this drop shadow to give it a little tear. So what we're going to do, a little pinch. So we're going to draw, with the rectangle marquee tool, we're going to draw um, a selection around the torn box like so. Okay. From here, we're going to go up to the filter menu at the top of the screen and choose distort. We're going to go to filter, distort, and we're going to go to pinch. What that's going to do is going to pinch like a piece of paper that's being punched through. It's going to pinch that shadow. So we're going to hit pinch. and we're going to set the pinch to the amount of about 50%, which is there, and we're going to hit OK. And you can see the shadow's been pulled a little bit, but it's only pulled that shadow because of that selection. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Control V when I'm finished, and you've created a nice little pinch there. Okay, we're going to lower the opacity of the shadow to about 82 to give it a little more realistic look to it. So we're going to drag this of that layer, make sure it's selected. We're going to go to 82. Great. So that's where we're at so far. You can see that the hole that's in that paper is really starting to come out. Okay. Okay. Next, we're going to click on layer 2 to make it the active layer. So we're going to click on layer 2 right here. All right. We're going to click on add a new layer icon. Okay. So we're going to add a new layer on top like so, and it will have a clipping mask right away. We're going to select that brush tool from the tool panel. Okay. And we're going to, with the black around the outer edges of the torn paper, we're going to paint black around some of the outer edges to make it look like um, they're tearing down. So select the black paintbrush, make sure that you have that clipping mask right on top. Make sure that you've selected black as your color for your paint brush. Okay. Once you've done that, you can use the left and right bracket keys to make that brush bigger. And you're going to paint the edge. Okay, we're going to paint that edge. So we're just going to start to drag and make sure that you don't go too crazy. But because we have the softness of the brush at, we have the hardness, excuse me, at 0, and it's pure soft edge, we're just going to paint those edges like that. And you can see it's starting to look like the edges of the paper are forced downwards, like they're going curling out from outside. Okay. Next, we're going to change that opacity to give it a little more realism from that layer exactly. Let me clean it up, make sure it went all the way around, and then we're going to change this to 13%, all the way down to 13. Makes it a little more realistic looking. Actually, we can probably just a little more on my end. I'm going to put it a little more because I like a little more dark. There we go. I like it a little darker. Okay. So I have mine on 52. From there, we're going to add another layer. And you can see once I add those layers and they have the clipping mask attached to them, that the clipping mask remains on those new layers. Okay. From here, we're going to change from the black, keep the paintbrush, from the black to the white. So we're going to hit the letter X, okay, or you can just change the color to white, all right? And we're gonna use the bracket keys again, and now we're gonna paint in the middle so we can have that highlight on that paper so it looks like that paper is really curving. Just go around all the way around like so, okay? And you can see the dimensions are really coming through now. Okay, it's probably a little too bright, but we're gonna lower that to about 50%. So we're changing the opacity of that layer. We're really getting into different layers working together to create a cool effect. And with that, the main part of the punch through image effect is complete. You should now look similar to this one on the screen. So this is the actual hole where the fist is going to go through. Okay. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to download. You're going to download the fist and upload it into Photoshop. So this is what it should look like. And I already have the fist downloaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit File and Open. I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to open my glove. And there's my glove there, ready to go into the other image. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to open this image. You're going to take this glove and place it all the way on top, on the topmost layer. Okay. So it should be layer 5. All right. You're going to resize the image, and you're going to place it inside that fist so it has a realistic look. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock my glove here. I'm going to take my magic wand tool. I'm going to click on that white background and I'm going to hit delete. What that does is control D, and what that does is it eliminates that background, and I can go ahead and hit control C or command C, select that top layer one and hit control V. And there I have my glove. I can resize it with control T. I can rotate it, and I can enlarge my glove and put it right there in the middle. Doesn't have to be too big. Okay, and kind of position it right there, right inside of your, so it looks like it's coming out. Now, we do have it coming out there, and it looks really cool, but I want to make it even more realistic. I want to make it look like the glove is coming out of that shadow. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the layer styles at the bottom, and I'm going to select a drop shadow for that glove. Okay. Once I've selected that drop shadow, I'm going to make sure it's on multiply. The opacity is 60. Okay. Once I've hit the opacity at 60 and the angle at 57, 120, I think it's supposed to be, yeah, 120. You just hit OK and done, and you can see that shadow underneath the fist there. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a layer mask, and we're going to take that layer mask and we're going to hide some of that glove there. So I'm going to go ahead and add a layer mask, and with black selected in my paintbrush, I'm going to use my paintbrush and use the same technique, but at this point, I'm going to make it look like that fist is coming from the shadows, coming right out of those shadows, especially the back there. And you can see the fist looks like it's coming right out of the shadow. Okay, gives it a little more realism. Okay, with all the pieces and layers, this is what your final image should look like. We can go ahead and group the layers together, and all we have to do is hit Control or Command on every single layer, like so. Select all those layers together, except the background layer, and you're going to hit. Oh, I didn't and selected them. So Control or Command. Go ahead and select all those layers together, like so, and then you're going to hit that folder. From there, you can control this glove together. You can make it larger if you'd like, which I'd want to see nice big gloves for everybody. All right, I hope you enjoyed our punch out effect. All right, make sure you save it and turn it in.